This is a getting started guide for Valheim that will introduce the basic mechanics as well as prepare you to fight the first boss in the game. You'll spawn in as the sacrificial stones. This is a special location in the center of the map. You'll see 5 large stones, one for each boss. You'll also see Hugin, who will give you hints on things you find in the game. I'll be ignoring him for this guide, but be sure to check out what he has to say. The first thing he'll have you do is look at a runestone which will point out where the first boss is. Be sure you do that so you know where to go later. The most important thing for defeating the first boss is the bow. While it isn't required, it makes the fight very easy, so that's what we'll focus on. The first thing you'll want to do is craft yourself an axe and a hammer. For that you'll need 8 wood and 6 stone. Unlike other survival games, like Ark and Minecraft, you can't punch rocks or trees. Your fists will do no damage. You'll need to find stone on the ground. It can be hard to spot, but you can tilt your camera up like this to make it easier. You can get wood by picking up branches or punching small trees. Your fists will work on those. The torch can speed this process up. After making the axe, you'll be able to cut down larger trees. When you do cut one down, it'll fall over, potentially taking other trees down with it, killing local wildlife or damaging structures, so be aware of which way it falls. You'll also notice that you can't cut down all trees. These birch trees, for example, you can't cut down without a metal axe. You also can't break rocks yet. That requires a pickaxe, which you'll get after defeating the first boss. Next, you'll need a shelter. You can build the shelter that I'm about to show with 50 wood and 5 stone. To build most things in Valheim, you'll first need to put down a workbench. That workbench will create a building area, and I can now build roof and wall pieces inside that outlined area. You can see that if I step outside the outlined area, the workbench icon starts flashing, and it tells me that I can't build there. If I try to use the workbench right now, I'll be told that it at least needs a roof. The workbench also needs to not be exposed. The crafting station is considered exposed if it doesn't have enough roof and wall pieces around it. Now we can add a bed. We can set our spawn point at the bed by interacting with it. We'll respawn here if we die. In order to sleep away the night, we need a fire near the bed. Fires emit smoke which will cause you to start suffocating if you get caught in them. It's also possible to set yourself on fire by walking too close to the fire, so be careful. We'll place this fire outside for now. After you sleep away the first night, I recommend working on a shelter that will allow you to keep your fire indoors. This will allow you to sleep even while it's raining. In Valheim, fires emit smoke which will fill the inside of a building and can cause you to start suffocating. A simple chimney will work to allow the smoke to escape. Cooking requires a cooking station which must be built over a fire. When food is done, it will emit particles and produce a sizzling sound. In Valheim, you don't need food to survive. Instead, food increases your max health and stamina. You can receive benefits from up to 3 foods at once. The best 3 early foods are cooked meat, grilled necktail, and honey. As you explore in Valheim, you'll probably run into some abandoned structures. Inside some of them, you'll find chests which may contain arrows or feathers that will aid you in fighting the first boss. More importantly, some structures have beehives. Once destroyed, the beehive will drop some honey, which is a good replacement for the mushrooms or raspberries, and sometimes a queen bee. With a queen bee, you can build your own beehives that will produce their own honey. This is useful, and you'll want to get it set up early, because mead requires honey to brew, and it is very strong later on. Progression in Valheim happens by upgrading equipment and crafting equipment at a higher tier. Generally, each new biome unlocks its own tier of equipment. Each piece of gear can be upgraded using some of the materials used to craft it. Upgrades also require the crafting station itself to have a certain level. The level of the crafting station can be increased by building improvements, which are special crafting stations that have a star in the building menu. You may notice that if you go in the water or get caught in the rain, you will get the wet status effect. This prevents you from sleeping and can be reduced by standing near a fire. If you are caught out at night, you will become cold, which significantly lowers your stamina and health regeneration. When you are under a roof, you will get the shelter effect, and when you are standing near a fire, you will get the fire effect. Having both of them will give you a resting status effect, which significantly increases your health and stamina regeneration. Having the fire status effect and sitting down, even while outside, will give you a lesser version of this buff. Once you've saved up your 8 leather scraps, head over and craft the bow. You'll also need some arrows to go along with it. The bow will allow you to easily kill deer and birds. Killing the deer is required to start the first boss fight, and birds will drop feathers to allow you to make better and more powerful arrows. It is also possible to kill deer with a spear or by sneaking up on them with a melee weapon, but the bow will make the boss fight much easier, so that's why I recommend crafting it. One of the first things Hugin will have you do when you spawn in is look at the rune stone near the sacrificial stones that reveals the location of the first boss. Each boss is spawned from an altar, and each altar requires a special item to be sacrificed. Near the altar there will be a rune stone and a statue giving a hint as to what must be sacrificed. The first boss is called a Clear and can easily be defeated with the level 1 bow and rag tunic that you start with, as well as about 50 wooden arrows, if you have decent aim. If you have trouble defeating it, you can always try crafting some leather armor, upgrading your weapon and armor, or crafting some more powerful arrows. Good luck, have fun, and thank you for watching.